Hey, Chris here with another CritCast from CriticalOutcast.com. And, well, first off, let me apologize for how this might come out. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out because I'm working with a new camera. I just got a new Canon ELPH camera that shoots HD video, so I'm giving this a shot to see how this works out for shooting the videos. So hopefully it works. Anyway, I know it's been a few weeks since I did a video, and I thought I'd just catch you up on how the early 2012 has been going. And generally speaking, they usually think of January and February as more or less kind of dumping grounds for low rent films, stuff that studios don't have any faith in. But that seems to be changing, because this year we've had some really good films early in the year. It's really surprised me. I've actually given out 2 4-star reviews so far this year. Let's give you an idea of what movies have been so good so far. First off, there was Haywire from Steven Soderbergh. That film was just fantastic. It's a common story. The agent gets burned by some powerful person. They have to figure out what's going on. But the way this film is executed is just really, really interesting. It's shot well. It's acted well. And retired MMA fighter Gina Carano was fantastic in the lead. She brings a different fighting style to the screen, a real, hard-hitting action. I feel really sorry for the stunt guys that had to get hit by her. But it's not your typical martial arts or brawling that you usually get. You get that MMA sort of wrestling, sort of martial arts, sort of brawling, all kind of mixed into one with some very, very different moves. It was just great. It's really a movie you should check out if you haven't seen it yet. That was definitely a 4-star movie for me. Next to that one, there is another 4-star movie a bit more recently, is The Grey. Came out a few weeks ago, starring Liam Neeson. And I know there's been a little controversy over the accuracy of how the wolves act. And I'm not going to defend it as being a realistic portrayal of the wolves. But the movie really is a fantastic story of survival, and it gets a little more interesting because you have Liam Neeson's character who is being confronted with his mortality, stuff from his past and stuff that's going on now, as well as the conflicts of the group that survived the plane crash. It's now trying to survive the wolf attacks. That may not make it sound like much of a 4-star movie, but it's really well done. Liam Neeson brings, I don't know, he has this charisma, the look of experience, the credibility to the role that really helps drive this thing home, and is really well worth seeing. But beyond that, we've had some other really good films. Even more recently, there was Chronicle, which was a found footage style movie that's not a horror movie. It's actually a superhero style type movie, kind of like say if Cloverfield was crossed with Unbreakable. That's sort of what this feels like. And it's a movie that it had some flaws. There are some things about it that I thought could have been a little better, but for the most part, it's really executed well. And this is the kind of movie that I think there's more to it than what I got out of that first viewing. Some really interesting ideas, some ways they deal with teen angst and dealing with trouble at home, and the whole idea of friends and how those dynamics can change like on an overnight basis. Combine that with your superhero stuff of finding these powers, and what are you going to do with them. And it's a good film that I'm actually really looking forward to seeing again somewhere down the line when it comes out on Blu-ray. Then after that, there's also the Woman in Black, the new film with Daniel Radcliffe, his first major role since the end of the Harry Potter franchise. And it's an old school ghost story. It's really creepy. It'll make you jump. It's got a bit of a slow burn effect. It's set in Victorian England, and it just has that real great look to it. It's being produced by Hammer Studios, who seems to be making a comeback over the last few years. They were big back in the 50s and 60s with working with a lot of films with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Now working with Radcliffe. This film is just it's creepy. It's a movie that then when it gets to the end, and again it gets you with that ending, it's kind of creepy, it's kind of bittersweet. It's not quite what I expected to see happen, but it's really a good film. It's well designed, it's well shot. Radcliffe is showing that he can be more than Harry Potter, which is a good thing for his career. I actually think he is a good actor. I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan, but he's definitely has a future if he keeps up with the acting. But that's pretty much it for new films this year that have been really good, and it's more than I can say from a lot of other years. I'm not really getting into the Oscar films that sort of open small, like in the mid to late December, then go wider in January and February, because those don't really count as 2012 releases. Anyway, another topic I want to touch on is this past weekend we saw the release of Star Wars Episode 1 in 3D, and I know a lot of Star Wars fans are not the biggest fans of Episode 1, and I'm one of them. But I went out to see it in 3D because while I don't really like the movie as a whole, there's lots of parts of it that I like, and I have to say, I probably would have been happier staying home and watching it on Blu-ray. Sure, it was fun getting out and seeing it with some friends and seeing it on the big screen, but the 3D conversion really just wasn't all that good. The image was dark, it was soft and fuzzy, and it lacked a lot of fine detail, and the 3D effect really wasn't all that special either. I mean, I really expected more coming from Lucas. For as much as he has screwed up Star Wars for a lot of fans, I always thought that he always had a good eye technically, and I thought that they would have put a bit more effort into making the 3D a bit more worthwhile. But still, seeing it again, it's been a number of years since I've watched the whole movie. It does remind me of some of the things that I do like about it. John Williams' score is fantastic. Darth Maul sure he shouldn't have had that fate at the end of that movie, but man, he made quite an impact. Other characters, Watto is a great character. Seeing the Senate is good. The early Senator Palpatine. The whole look of the film, all the CG effects, I feel they still pretty much hold up. Narratively, I'm not that crazy about the whole midichlorian thing, but it more or less works. Again, Liam Neeson, after the Gray, he was a really good choice to play a Jedi. He has that regal quality. He has that, that credibility that he is able to sell that role. The movie as a whole, though, there's lots of stuff that seems like unintentionally funny throughout that whole thing. I mean, there was a lot of stuff I was sort of making fun of with my friends along the way, and this movie really doesn't have a heck of a lot of energy. It seems that it's very limp on the screen. I don't remember having that feeling that way when I first saw it. I remember actually liking it the first time I saw it, but again, it was the first new Star Wars movie in how many years? So I think it was kind of hard for me not to like it. But it's just weird that some of the stuff just doesn't make sense. Like that lightsaber battle with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Darth Maul. What room is exactly that supposed to be? It doesn't really seem to fit the architecture of any of the other buildings around there, and it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, other than it looks cool to have the fight set in it. And I'm of the opinion that any lightsaber action is good lightsaber action. Lightsabers are one of the coolest film weapons ever created, and those things are great. So anytime you get to see them in action, that's a plus. The kid, Jake Lloyd, is pretty annoying. He's not that good, and it doesn't really help that the dialogue is absolutely terrible throughout this whole movie. There is some really bad dialogue. Although I do have to say that it is interesting to see where the start of the story of Vader came from, and it's one of those movies that's probably going to... It's probably gonna have this love-hate for me for pretty much forever. It's probably gonna be one of my least watched of the 6 films, because I'll always tend towards the original trilogy. But anyway, I will probably continue seeing these releases